The pile is growing, but look what I got. Plexiglass. I went with this brown color, you know, because I want it to be organic. No, I went to a local plastics place. I gave them a call, had this cut to the exact size that I need. It's 1/4 inch thick polycarbonate, and it was $103 before tax. Step one is pretty simple, but there's a lot of ways to screw it up. I need to trace out pretty much everything that's going on this plexiglass, mark it out with a couple Sharpies there, and start hacking. I'm gonna cut this thing up. First thing I'm gonna do is find center, which would be center on my desk over there. And then on either side of center, I'm gonna have a little bit of an opening on the bottom for wires to go in from the desk. So I'll start with that, and then I'm going to grab just all the components, start laying them out, figure out where I want them, and trace them out. And if I like it, I'll bust out the Dremel and start cutting. All right, here's where I'm at so far. And what I've determined is a couple things. One, I'm gonna bring the panel out further. I originally only had it with 1 5/8 behind it. And I was going to cut all the way around the solar controller and have this whole thing kind of poking through. It just has these 2 buttons on it, and that's it, and a little display. What I'm gonna do, because I looked up the specs on the Starlink router, and it's a funky shape and the wires come into the back of it, but I want it to go about here. It's freaking huge too. It's a odd shaped thing. And then over here, I'm doing a couple of AC switches. I'm gonna have a switch for the shore power and then like a dual switch for the water heater and maybe for the exterior outlet. But I'm putting an old work box here. That just means it has these little tabs, these little wings that swing out and let you clamp it to stuff. I'm gonna put those on the bottom right here. And then everything that's mounted to the plexiglass, so all of these switches and these 2 things here, and the fans. The wires for all those things need to come over to the hinge side of the panel. And I just need enough depth behind this panel for all the wiring and this box and that Starlink router and all that. So I'm bringing this out to about just over 3 inches. So I'm gonna lose a little bit of my desk space, but it's gonna be all right. I'm only gonna cut out this much for the solar controller, just where the display is. Then the battery monitor, the inverter controller, all these switches and these fans are all gonna mount to the plexiglass. And then everything else, the solar controller, the fuse, my camera server, my routers, are all gonna mount to the plywood behind it. And I just went and picked up my fan controller. So I'm about to figure out where that goes. This is a Yaxiao, but it's high quality, so you know it'll be fine. But it's made to go on the back of like a computer case, like in a PCI card slot, and it has this tiny little potentiometer on it. So I'm either going to cut up this piece of metal and then drill a couple holes in it and just have that mount to the plexiglass, or maybe drill a hole for this knob, but I don't know if I'll have enough because I need a 1/4 inch of gap between, which I don't really have. But I need to determine where to put that because I only got that much wire off of that and just a little bit off of the fans. So it's gonna probably end up somewhere in the middle up top. I'd like to put it kind of over here. I also want to switch the power to this. It just runs off of a regular, like a 4-pin Molex. So I'm just gonna snip that off and then run wires over to one of these switches, which would be nice to have the switch for it just right next to it. That's what I'm kind of thinking about right now. And then it'll be time to start cutting up this plexiglass. So I also, I cut a couple more pieces of 1x that are gonna go up and down each side. I got a glue nail and stain those. And then I do have hinges. I went ahead with some like actual door hinges, which is kind of overkill for this. But the reason I went with those is if you look at where I put these screw holes, I don't know if you can see that, but there's enough space between the screw holes and the actual hinge pin to have it sit at a 45 and clear that piece of wood on the sides. And then over here on this side, I was originally, like the latching side, I was gonna put like a couple of thumb screws and stuff, but I'm kind of leaning towards a strip of Velcro. So that's kind of the idea. And then right here, these are, you know, the openings for cables running in from my desk. So I've got it almost figured out and it's about to be time to start cutting. I just gotta decide what I'm doing with this fan controller and decide if that's exactly where I want my switches. I just want it to kind of look good. And I do want the switch for the ceiling lights to be right on the edge. So when I walk in the van, I can just reach over and turn on the lights. So it'll probably be ceiling lights and then exterior porch light will be the first switch next to that, or even this one right here, right above that. So it's kind of what I'm doing. Also, this panel that I bought, it's kind of lame as far as the accessories it comes with. I'm considering getting more of those power delivery charging ports and putting them on here instead of, you know, that and that. This is just a 2.1 amp USB, and you know, I could probably just leave this voltage thingy. But the reason I went with this one is because of the red switches. I wanted this style of switch. The ones that come with the cool, nicer USB chargers are all like bright blue rocker switches and stuff. And I just don't want a bright blue thing going on over here. I just want it to be all kind of red and not too crazy looking, so figuring it out. All right, this is the official layout. I've decided to just have the knob for the fans over here and maybe my diesel controller under it, if the wire is long enough to get to the heater. Otherwise, that's gonna go kind of under the bed. I'll show you that later. So underneath this fan is the ceiling lights, and then all of this can be whatever. I'll probably make this one on the left side the porch light, and maybe this one all the way on the right side will be for the fans. But I am going to trace all this out now on the plexiglass with the Sharpie and then start hacking with my Dremel. I gotta figure out how to cut these fan holes because I need a hole saw for that or something, and I don't really trust the ones that I got. They're all beat up, old, cheap Harbor Freight coarse tooth frickin' things that are made for drywall. So $100 piece of plexiglass. I should probably either go invest in a good hole saw or come up with a better idea. So I might cut it out with like the roto zip tool and then kind of sand out to my final opening. But anyway, I'm tracing now and then I'm going to start cutting. Alright, before I destroy this plexiglass, I'm going to mark out and mount the components that go to the, like, behind it. Since I already marked them out on the plexiglass, if I mount them in the correct locations now, it'll be easier than having to refigure out where they go, you know what I mean? So I'll start with the solar. 13.5 in, 5 1/8, and 10 1/8. That's the two left holes. So 13.5 in, 5 1/8. Look at that. I freaking found it first try. And 10 1/8 for those holes. Oh, that was way off. Okay, I'm using a brown Sharpie, so I can't see it, because that's fun, right? And I'll do the cutout for this display after, because when I put the plexiglass up, I'll be able to... That is way off. What? I did not measure that right. Okay, let's try that again. 10 5/8. Ha! Good going, Dave. It's a 1/2 inch off. And 5/8. 13.5. There we go. There we go. And I'm using stainless number 10 by 1 inch screws. Does that look straight? Sure. Good enough? Yeah. Why not? 2 to 3 Ugga-Duggas. That's all you need. Okay. Does it look crooked? I don't think so. It's not bad. Probably looks crooked to you guys. I'm probably on wide angle. Whenever I'm in the van, I use wide angle. Otherwise, you wouldn't see a whole lot in the frame. There we go. All right, I'm gonna go get the fuse block. Ow. My lower back is just screaming today. How did I get green paint all the way over here? All right, fuse block. We're just gonna kind of, it's gonna go, we're gonna center it right around 11 inches in, and we'll center it on the, like right there, see? Yeah. Right there. Perfect. Beautiful. Fabulous. Exquisite. Okay. Blue Sea Systems. Does that look good? I think so. Careful. Easy now. This is plastic, so we're not doing Ugga-Duggas on this one. We're just doing snuggy wuggies, you know. That's how you torque stuff with the drill. Perfect. Okay. Boing. I did get my fuses for these. I will install them when I actually wire these things. Okay, next. Ow. Really, it's just my Ethernet and my camera server. Everything else goes on the plexiglass. So, I'll go grab them things. I have no idea how I'm gonna mount them. Maybe some Velcro or something. All right. So, my Ethernet switch weighs nothing at all. And it does have screw mounts, but I think I'm just gonna Velcro it. The camera server, this is a whole computer. It does have some weight to it. It would be fine with just Velcro if I wasn't driving around. You know what I mean? But, see, it's a whole computer. So I gotta figure out a good way to mount this. There are no screw holes. This is like a tiny, like office computer. Like something a corporation would give their cubicle people, you know. That's what it started out life as. It's got an i5 in it. It's pretty decent. It's a little Dell. I mean, my options here are a couple of L brackets, maybe. Or I Velcro it and then put L brackets underneath just to support it. I want it to sit this direction so the heat can blow up out the top. And these two things I actually could just mount whenever the hell I want. They're not... That was the main thing I wanted to mount before. We're gonna wait on these two items, but since we got that on, now we can go destroy that piece of plexiglass. I'll admit I'm nervous, but once I start cutting and get a feel for the material, I'll be, it'll be alright. I'm going to start with these 2 notches on the bottom for wire. Then I'll do the AC switch box because it's just a square. And then probably these guys. And then the rockers. And I have no clue how I'm going to do these fans. I'm going to take this piece of wood, kind of wrap it up in the towel here, to elevate it a little bit. And I'm going to start by trying out the Dremel with this gnarly ass little saw blade on it. See how that does. If I use an abrasive disc, it'll just plug up, because I'm sure this stuff's like, it'll get all, once it gets hot, it'll get all gummy, Alright, $103 plexiglass, here we go. Careful. Easy now. I'm going to come back with the barrel sander and do these radii here. You know what I mean? Ow. Ooh. This is a terrible height for my lower back. It's working. Yeah, it's gonna be fine. Alright, let's do this guy now. My blade still on tight? Yep, okay, here we go. Might have to come in on the back and get the corners very carefully. Remember how I said I'm putting an air compressor in the van? Alright, next, battery monitor. And then we gotta figure out these switches, because I can't cut out the actual shape of them. I have to go inside of that and then drill these holes that I marked. All the holes need to be drilled everywhere. But these, they just kind of, well, the inverter controller has holes. I didn't mark those out, but they sit in these. And the battery monitor just kind of clips in there. Okay. Next, we're gonna drill 18, possibly 20 holes in this thing. 26 holes. Yeah. Oh, Easter's coming up. Now I got that Easter grass to put in the baskets, you know. I'm gonna grab the inverter controller because I think it had screws on it. Yep, it's got 4 of them. And I need to make the hole bigger. Damn. Alright. I'm gonna have to file on that hole. I think I need to charge my battery. Yep. He's dead, Jim. There's a RJ45 that goes down to the inverter. So I might have to notch that out as well. Yeah, this has to just be I mean, I'm gonna need the barrel sander on the Dremel for down here anyway. Might as well just grab it now and, you know. Hey, we got it. Woo! Alright, I'm gonna mark the holes. Look at that battery monitor. She's coming together. Yeah, that looks nice. Okay, and I made sure the AC switch box fits. So, I gotta figure out these frickin' fans. And I gotta cut the hole for the solar. Which, what I'm gonna have to do is mount this whole panel in the van, like get the hinges on, and then like peel away just some of this of the protective film, and then draw exactly where I want to cut the hole. Because if I peel this film off and then I start dremeling shit, I'm gonna just scratch the hell out of this whole thing. So yeah, the next step is figuring out these fans. Gotta make fan holes. I have a 4-inch hole saw and a 5-inch hole saw. And what I need is a 4.5-inch hole saw. So I can either go spend money on tools to do one thing, or I could cut a 4-inch hole and then like sand my way out to it. Or I could use like a roto-zip style blade, like bit, in the Dremel and try to freehand it. And that's kind of scary. It'd be a lot frickin' faster than trying to sand this hole out bigger. Because it doesn't really sand, it kind of just melts, you know. Which works, but I think the only way I'd have a perfect hole in one shot would be to buy a 4.5-inch hole saw. So I'm gonna think about that for a second and probably, you know. Alright, I'm experimenting with this roto-zip style bit. How well does it work with plexiglass, and I control it enough to have confidence. You know, let's see what happens. I don't think I can go straight in. I gotta like I'll have to drill a pilot hole in there. Yeah, I don't know, guys. That's cool, but I don't know if I could get a perfectly straight, good looking fan hole with that. It's pretty violent. Back to the drawing board. Our economy is trash. I need this, but in black. And they ain't got shit here. Same with Menards. Okay, so now I'm going to drill a 4-inch hole and then sand my way out. Oh my god, that's a horrible noise. Earplugs. That's never coming out. Alright, horrible, deafening noise, round 2. Alright, I'm gonna spend about 3 days sanding these holes to the correct size, and then I'll show you when I'm done. So these are about as done as they're gonna get. They're not perfectly smooth, but what I was doing is I was using the little sanding drum on the Dremel. And it wasn't really sanding so much as it was melting the plastic. And it worked. The whole time I've been using this Dremel, it's been getting so hot that it's been like burning my hands. And it's kind of been that way for years, actually. I've had that Dremel forever. I was about halfway through this hole, and as it was melting the plastic, I was like, man, it kind of smells like burnt toast. That's strange for plastic, you know. It wasn't the plastic burning, it was the Dremel. It's totally dead. So then I switched to using this, which is a Dremel, but it's actually a chain sharpening tool, and it's single speed, 28,000 RPM. And these little sanding drums have their limits, you know. You can't go full blast with them, they just fly right off. So I got it done. This one looks great compared to this one. It's got character, but R.I.P. Dremel. Well, I've let it cool down for a while, and I blew it out with the compressor. It's done. So I modified this little fan speed controller so it would, you know, I cut the ends off of it and then drilled holes in it. But the knob is not centered, and there's this little heat sink that sticks up beyond the metal. So I don't think it's going to look very good. So what I think I'm going to do is take a piece of metal, some sheet metal, and just make a rectangle that's a little bigger and then make it so it centers this on that and paint it black. 1 5/8 inch 7/8. So it's a 1/4 inch offset, which I guess isn't that horrible, but I still need to make like a taller face for it. So this whole thing is about 3 7/8 in width. So I'll just cut a 4" by 1" piece. Yeah, sure. And I'll just use some tin snips, why not? I knew I'd use this metal someday. Can I do it without bending the shit out of it, though, is the question. That's the real trick. Come on, come on. Nope, that was terrible. That's okay. I can just kind of file it to get a soft edge, and then I got to drill some holes in it and paint it black. Alright, that's done. I gave it a coat of metallic black stainless paint. Look at them sparkles. And I even rounded the corners with the bench grinder and filed it just for extra style points. Alright, so the next thing I need to do is cut out this on the plexiglass and the opening for that thing I just made, that fan controller. But I just realized I don't have a Dremel. That's what I've been using to cut this material with all night. But what I think I can do is I can at least get the plexiglass up here, figure out my very bare minimum depth, which is going to be what that AC electrical box is, because it's just a tiny bit deeper than this solar controller. And then what I can do is measure how wide I need to make these boards, because I want it to be pretty much the plexiglass to be sitting on this. I don't want it any deeper than it needs to be. And then I can rip these down in the table saw, get them glued and nailed on, and then get a coat of stain on them, you know. Then that can kind of sit all night and dry, and that little bit of spray paint on that thing can dry overnight. And then I'll come back tomorrow with the tools I need to finish this. Moral of the story is prices suck, but I should have bought that hole saw. Because, yeah, now I don't have a Dremel, and this particular hole for this fan is pretty wonky. And I kind of scraped off into the side, but hopefully didn't get it past the protective film too bad. What's 2 3/4 minus 1 5/8? That's what I need to, you know, math. You said 1 1/8, right? I think that's what you said. So we're basically just knocking like a 1/4 inch off of these. You know what's remarkable? Since I started making these videos, I've had all kinds of comments about safety glasses and knee pads and stuff. But nobody's mentioned the fact that my table saw has no guard on it. This piece here has no structural properties as far as that plexiglass is concerned. But that side's where the hinges go. So we'll be getting some plywood on it. Somehow, some way. Yeah, I wish I had taken this into consideration before I stained, polyed, and put trim on this side over here. Or I did take it into consideration, I just didn't figure out the depth of this little area quite accurately. It's the following morning. We have new Dremel. This one says Craftsman on it, but it's the exact same thing. And I got this AC distribution panel, single pole, 8 positions, preloaded with 5 breakers. So I got that going on. It doesn't come with the box. It's just a panel, see? It's made to like mount on a wall or a cabinet or something. I'm gonna try to find a like PVC box that'll fit it. Otherwise I'll figure something else out. But step one is today is to get the hinges on that thing and get it put up in the van, and then figure out exactly where I'm gonna cut out for the solar charge controller's display. And then I'm gonna cut that and the fan controller out. Those will be the last cuts on the plexiglass. And then I'll try to clean up that one hole for that fan, you know, because my Dremel exploded. Then we can get this thing mounted. I'll get all the components mounted to it and then get it installed in the van, So here's the deal with this polycarbonate. I can do whatever I want to it until I pull off this protective film. If I do that, I better be completely done messing with it. Because the two main issues with this stuff is static. Everything sticks to it. And if you so much as just sneeze on it, it will scratch. So whenever I go to clean this thing, I have to use a borderless microfiber detailing cloth like this. And it will get scratched up over time. That's just the way she goes, you know. All right, so I just finger screwed the hinges on here. I'm gonna go fit it up in the cabinet, figure out what I gotta do to get these to lay completely flat on the edge of the cabinet. Because I put a piece of 3/8 plywood on there to bring it out to the level of where everything else is. And then I routed out the back just so these bolts clear. But because the hinge pin, I want it to sit flush, I'm gonna have to probably route out that 3/8 plywood in there, so. It fits the way I want it to, but I think the only way to make it correct would be to notch out the plexiglass itself, which is kind of unfortunate because I already drilled the holes for the bolts. But because I'm putting the hinges on the outside of the plexiglass, you won't see that. So I'll take these back off, and I'm just gonna use the new Dremel. to notch right here for the hinge, and then I'll have to drill new holes like right next to the current holes. That's unfortunate. I should have, you know, foreseen that little detail before I did that, but that's okay. It's not the end of the world. You can't like foresee every detail when you're doing some custom crap like this, you know. You just can't plan it all out to the T unless you're some sort of engineer who's been doing this shit for their entire life. You know what I mean? Okay, that's pretty good. Oh yeah. Yeah, that's really good. That's like, dare I say, perfect. All right, now what I gotta do, maybe get a couple screws in it to hold it, and then I gotta peel right here off, and then Sharpie exactly where I want to cut out for this thing. And then I'm gonna go cut this hole and that hole, and then I can peel this whole thing, mount everything to it, and permanently install this plexiglass. And for right now, I'm just gonna use these tiny number 6 by 1 inch fine thread drywall screws because I don't wanna hog out the holes right away until I'm ready to install it with the actual hinge screws. Oh, look at that. She frickin' opens up like a door. That's exactly what we wanted. Oh yeah. All right. Gotta somehow get that film off without gouging right here. Okay. See, I did scratch it there with the razor. The only way to get it perfect is to draw a Sharpie line with the controller behind exactly how it's gonna sit in the van. It's the only way to line it up just right. Okay, I'll just kind of leave it like that. Then I got to do the same thing on the back. There we go. There we go. Hopefully them scratchies that I just made are right where I'm going to be cutting this thing out. So we can only hope. And what I'm going to have to do is like get some tape around the hole before I cut it. Otherwise the shavings are gonna destroy this stuff. Now, should be able to, oh, that is way off. How the hell did I, how did I mount that so far? Oh, you know what? I know what I did. I didn't account for the actual wood on the side. You stupid. All right. Yeah, I love it. All right, so I got to remount my solar controller anyway. Because it is not in the right place. Look at that. I'm like an inch off. All right. We'll be back after these messages. Yeah, so I just wanted to make sure you guys were still paying attention. You know, that's why I did that. Yeah, yeah. I put all my scratches in the correct place, so I just got to be real careful of the surrounding area. I'm going to actually grab some tape and just do that. So we're gonna just trim it out like that. This is like the most unconventional, like, electrical panel installation ever, like in the history of van builds. You gotta be different than everyone else, you know? Be unique. So now you can kind of see what I'm going for here, you know? Yeah. Just trim that out. These two buttons are the only actual buttons, but it would look weird just making a little hole there. So I'm just gonna make a nice little window over this entire display. And it should look kind of cool, you know. One other thing I need to do is clean up that fan hole, because it is, looks like I cut it with my teeth, you know what I'm saying? That Dremel died on me, and then I was using chain sharpener to, and it blew up all my sanding drums, so I have none of those left. All right, no matter how much I blow this thing off, crap still sticks to it. I wish I had like a Tesla coil so I could positively charge this thing. But it's time, guys. Finally time to peel. I can't make any changes to this plexiglass anymore. It's now too late. But it's gonna be just fine. It's gonna be just fine. I fit everything. I didn't really go back and check this, but all right, I'm gonna go ahead and get the hinges on now. Just kind of install stuff as I go, you know. I'll just get them hand tight for now. Just get them on there. Yep, that hole saw would have just been a done in one shot kind of deal, but I spent like frickin' 2 hours on those two holes, and my Dremel burned up. It's all good. Okay, next. This is my box for my AC switches. And once I get the actual switches, then I'll put the black switch plate on it and it'll look really good, you know. There we go. Okay, that's on. Now moving up from that, we're doing this. And for all of these things, we're doing these number 8 machine screw. They're way too long, but that's okay. With a nut on the back. Here's an idea. I'll get tools. That's the whole idea. Are these 3/8? Yes. Yes, they are. No, no, what? Are they metric? They must be. It's like a 9mm. I'll just use pliers because that's way more risky. The little voltage meter's kind of pointless. If I'm less than 12 volts, my batteries are dead. That's what the battery monitor's for. I might actually need longer screws for them fans. Huh. I have longer 832s, but I don't think I have them here at the shop. Can actually use these long screws to put wire holders on in the back. There's an idea, yeah. Yeah, I like having the ceiling light separate from everything else. You know? Cool. All right, moving on. We'll do the fans like last, Inverter controller. It has eco mode, so it won't kick on the inverter until it senses like an actual amperage draw on it, That way it ain't just running all the time and draining down my battery. This is shiny and pretty. This whole thing. Loving it. Click. Done. That was easy enough. Look at that thing. All right, now I gotta figure out these damn fans here. Yeah, this hole ain't too bad. This was before the Dremel broke. That one, I mean, it's okay. It's just got a little kind of a whoop-de-doo and a scratch, so. Yeah, 1 inch is gonna be too short. Okay, I gotta figure out some longer screws. I need like 2 inch, 1.5 inches. What do we got? Come on, I need 2 more. Come on. Also, this belongs at work, not here. This needs to go back in my toolbox. All right, I managed to find 6 of them, and they're kind of dirty. I got more where that came from, but I'm not there at the moment, so, you know. Oh, they are just barely long enough, too. Just barely gonna do it. And actually, I'm gonna leave the one missing one out of this side. Then I can just pop this open real quick and get it in there. How's that for an idea? Well, this one's not. Oh, that's a used screw. All right, I'm missing. I have 5. Okay, well, I'll just half install these for now. You know, the grill actually covers most of the hole, so that's not too bad. Like, you know, it covers the ugliness of the hole. It ain't gonna do that for me on this side, though. I butchered that pretty bad. Oops. What am I gonna do? Go spend another $100 on and an entire weekend on another piece of plexiglass? I don't think so. I'm gonna be so happy living my dream life in this van that I'll just look at these things and smile, you know? Nothing to get worked up over. Sweet. All right. We're missing 3 screws for the fans. Everything else is done. I might come back with a black paint marker and go around all of the openings, just this and the 2 fan holes. But now it's time to install this in the van. Oh no, get out of there. Get, go on, get. All right. Look at that thing. Sweet. How cool is that? I'm gonna get it kind of just screwed on with these same screws from before, just to get it hung. And then I will get the hinges actually screwed on good. There we go. Look at that. Aha! Command center. Boop. Boop. Boop, 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 boop. Boop, boop. All right. This one looks a little crooked. I might have to make some adjustments for the sake of perfection, but you know, it's pretty damn good. Boom. Installed. So what I was thinking, on the left side you have those two hinges and they're black. And I was thinking of matching the spacing and putting 2 3-inch strips of Velcro on this side. And try that for now. And then if I don't like it, I could always put something different. What do you think? All right, that's what I'm gonna do then. This desk is filthy, by the way. Just right there, I got some stain on it. This countertop is great at hiding dirt. It never looks dirty. Same with the floor. All right, we need Velcro and skizzers. Yeah, I like this. I like this a lot. Yeah, what I'll do is I'll get a black paint marker and just go around the edges of this hole and the 2 fans. This one looks really good. Like, I was on a roll before the Dremel broke. This one, I'll show you up close here at the end of the video, but I just made a little oopsie poopsies on the left side there, so you know. I need my tape measure and a Sharpie. So we went 2.5 inches in, and the hinges are 3.5 inches. So what I'll do is cut a 3-inch or 3.5-inch piece of the Velcro. You guys really know your history, by the way. Last week with the comments on that dude that invented Velcro. I mean, I'm sure some dude in Mexico got some cholla stuck to him and had the same thought, but and that's probably way too wide. Yep, perfect. All right, 2.5 inches down. This mattress is really comfortable. It's already like 100 times better than the one I've been sleeping on for the last like 6 months. All right. The idea here is it'll look like kind of match the other side with the hinges, you know. It's not sticking to the wood because I stained that like an hour ago. Great. I need to open this back up so I can get my camera server and shit in here, which I am going to use this Velcro on, I decided. So I'll just keep that out. All right, camera server and Ethernet switch. Big honkin' Starlink router goes here. These guys go here. And then my diesel heater controls, if they reach, will go like here. And then I'll have some kind of display for an indoor-outdoor thermometer or weather station of some kind right here. And then this whole thing will be pretty much filled up with neat gadgets, you know. I'm gonna put hook side on the router. Does it say the MAC on the box? It says serial number. I'm gonna take a picture of this MAC address before I cover it up with Velcro. So I'll be right back. And we're back. Okay. So, do I cover the entire thing or just one piece? We're just gonna do one piece. It's supposed to hold up to 10 pounds, it says. Is that 10 pounds per inch, per foot? 1 pound per square inch. Aha. Oh, this whole thing probably weighs maybe a pound, so. This guy though, that's pushing 10 pounds. I don't know if Velcro's gonna cut it for that, to be honest. We might be. So it's got this little hook right here, which is for a lock, for like a, you broke into my office, so, you know. This thing has a lock too. So maybe I'll do something with that. I'll take, I'll get creative. I don't need this USB, so I can get like maybe an angle bracket on it somehow. Lock it in place that way. I don't know. I'll figure it out. We're gonna get this router on. I'm thinking hopefully this fan will pull the heat from this fan kind of towards it, so it'll come up and then kind of go left, go fast, turn left, kind of thing. Not sure how much heat a solar charged controller puts out, but I'm sure it's quite a bit. I would think, wouldn't you think? Okay. So, cam server. Ethernet. I want the ports facing up because there's more coming in from the top than there is going out the bottom. So there ought to be good. How crooked is that? A little bit. There we go. Nice. Alright, and then this guy gonna go right there. If I pop the rubber shoes off, then I can Velcro it. But yes, I am going to come up with a better way to secure this. A supplement for the Velcro. Or we'll just call the Velcro a supplement, you know. I'm gonna use a bunch on here though. I'm just gonna go cover the whole dang bottom of this. I'm mostly just doing this right now because I want to see it all together, you know. I want to see everything I got put in place. I want to give you guys an idea of what the final product's gonna be like here, you know. Turning my vision into a reality this weekend. It's pretty exciting. I am loving it. Plexiglass. And you know, it makes the van look just as big. And I like seeing all the wires. Like I said, I think that shit's cool. So, you know. Some people would rather hide all this under their bed and not look at it, but to each his own. I'm a nerd, so I like gadgets and circuits and such. Camera server. Installed. Yeah, so this guy, we got empowers 3 fans, or controls 3 fans. The wires go on like that. And then there's another wire for the power. And I'm gonna snip this and run it over to a switch. Is the plan neatly, you know. Get all this to look neat and cool. For now, I'm just gonna get to go over the charge controller, just so it's kind of in the vicinity of where it belongs. Done. Look at that. Yeah. Love it. So this is where my laptop goes. This is just a little cooling stand for it. And then this is a little MIDI keyboard, because I want to eventually someday make my own music for my YouTube videos. It'll take me months to learn how to do that though. I got the software for it, and it's like learning how to edit videos. It's a whole process of learning a whole new app, and you know, someday. So I need to wire all of this. And that's it's gonna be a video of its own. So one thing at a time. This was a huge accomplishment for me. Just weeks of planning, and acquiring the materials to do it, and then my entire weekend of turmoil to get this accomplished. And it turned out about as good as I could ever expect it to. I'm pretty damn happy. A few little details to work out, like I'm gonna paint around these holes and stuff and get that mounted better so it don't just fall off, you know, when I'm vibrating down a gravel road one day. But it's coming along. The command center. Yes. And you know, I'm gonna have a monitor over here too on a swing mount, because I can't have just one screen with my computer. I gotta have at least two, and some sort of sound bar somewhere. A couple more things I want to show you guys. I did get a shower pan that fits perfect. The picture on the description showed like a finished front edge, like a threshold going into it, and this is how it came. So I'm going to have to build a tiny little wall on the front there and on the side, which I already planned on doing. But I have a shower pan now, and it's much nicer than the one that I bought last time. And it's actually white, not like a hideous off-white color. Another thing is I trimmed out my entry door. I used automotive door edge trim like I said I would. Turned out pretty nice. And then I got these. I decided not to use that automatic popping fire extinguisher thing because if that went off like by accident, because it's, you know, sketchy, that would completely destroy my van. So I have the one that I bought from Harbor Freight, and that is like the last one that I would use because that's a powder fire extinguisher. And then I have a 3-pack of these water-based ones, and these are great apparently. And then I have a fire blanket, so I got that going on. I'm gonna keep two of these in the van, one here and then one either up in the cab there or like under there somewhere. And then the third one I'm just gonna put in my car, my daily driver, because I don't have one in there yet. But they were cheap enough, and so yeah, that's what I got going on for my fire protection. All right, now it's time to install things down here. So I have like a bunch of room here and not a whole lot over here. And I got a whole lot of stuff I need to cram under this cabinet. I've got my DC to DC. I also have my AC breaker panel. And it's not very big, but it's got to go under here, as well as my DC fuse block. And I'm kind of thinking like these 3 components on the left. Yeah, check out this AC breaker panel. This thing's cool. It's that Blue Sea Systems. It's a 8-position panel with 5 breakers loaded in it. The only problem I'm having with this, there's no box. It's just a panel. It's like it's meant to be installed in a cabinet or on a wall. So I gotta figure out some sort of enclosure for this. But I can at least figure out where I'm gonna put it, and then, you know, make sure I leave room for that. And then over here is gonna be, I think, all the main DC. So the battery shut off, the bus bars, the shunt, and the main fuse for the battery. And then the fuse for the inverter can go on the left. I also have to run these wires across here neatly. And then I also got a 6 plugger. Well, I guess 9, but This can do 2400 joules of surge suppressor. So this is going to go under here somewhere for all of my electronics, my laptop, my camera server, my routers, all that stuff. And the inverter has an outlet on it, so I could just plug it into that, which is what I'm considering doing. Or I can run it off of another outlet, which I am going to put under here somewhere, and have it run off a breaker. But I think this will be sort of there, and then have all the DC main stuff below it, and all the fuses and everything else, breakers, to the left. That's kind of the idea. It's a lot of stuff I got to fit under this cabinet. It looked a lot bigger before I put these batteries in here, you know. Alright, here's where we're at. Because I have so much stuff that I'm trying to fit under here, I made two changes. The DC to DC charger is now going up in the cab. And because my battery cable is so freaking huge, I'm putting the bus bars right there, right above the desk. So now my positive from the battery is going to go into the fuse, into the shutoff. The negative is going to go into the shunt, into the shutoff, and then from the shutoff, they're going to go up to the bus bars. And then from the inverter, the same battery cable, this huge stuff, is going to go over to its fuse and then up to the bus bars. The DC to DC is going to be probably under the fridge in the cab floor or something, and it's going to come up out of the floor somewhere over here and run up to the bus bars. And then the solar is coming down into the controller, and then it's coming out of here through its fuse and then down to the bus bars. And now I have the option of running all my grounds either straight to this bus bar or straight down to the fuse block. And I put all the relays there. And that's where the AC panel's going. Down here is going to be that exterior outlet. It's going to run straight up here. It might be switched right there. And I decided to mount my outlet strip right there under the desk. So all the stuff like these guys, laptop, can run under and, you know, boop. So I got it all figured out pretty much. And I still need to put my solar shut-off switch. It's going to go like right there. I've got 5 breakers in this panel. So running off of this outlet, I've got one running over, which I've labeled garage. And that goes right there. I've decided that I am going to replace these with better ones. And I might take this guy, which is just a, you know, DC outlet, and either put it next to the AC outlet somewhere over here, or put it back here by the garage outlet. And that's for like whatever, a raft inflator or something, you know. It's about 9 o'clock Tuesday night, and around 4 a.m. we're supposed to get thunderstorms, and then by 10 a.m. it's supposed to be a full-blown blizzard with up to 6 inches of snow and 65-mile-an-hour winds. So for the next day or two, I'm going to be shoveling snow and editing this video, and then I'll be wiring all this up. Thank you so much for watching. I appreciate it. Special thanks to Junior, Jody, Angie, Nicole, Bonnie, and Pirate Overlander for joining my Patreon. I appreciate that. Thank you to everyone who's donated with the thanks button. I appreciate that. And I appreciate all of you for subscribing to my channel and watching my videos. Hope you all have a great week, and I'll see you in the next one.